Unfortunately, not enough for him and his team to win the game. We'll see if that changes in Game 2. P's and B's, pretty please. And Splyce on the left-hand side will have the first selection, and we'll see where they go. Anything you want to see picked, banned, otherwise?
Picked or banned? Maybe take away the Cerberus. I'd say not necessarily take away the Chulainn. I think Cerberus allows Splyce a lot of freedom because there was 4 magical gods between Chulainn, Cerberus, Puch, and the Freya. Not too much damage from CycloneSpin because he was getting dove a lot in the backline. He was even forced to go into that Celestial Legion helmet, which eventually he sold for Ratatoskr. And on the flip side, funnily enough, BaRRaCCuDDa picked up the Bulwark of Hope because he was against 4 magic.
Well, the first bans coming out, no Pele, no Serket, no Athena, no Mercury. Same bans as game number 1, which leaves Splyce with the same pick as game number 1, giving Cyclone the Freya. And across the way, Spacestation Gaming going directly into the Terra support. And here they selected Ho-Yi last time. This time around, it's going to be
the Ho-Yi.
It
was the Ho-Yi. Now, it was a great opening from Spacestation Gaming that last time because the way JeffHindla delayed the wave, right, it baited Splyce in a weird situation where they pushed out the wave, looked for the red buff invade, and then with the collapse from Venenu on top of it, it was an early pick onto CycloneSpin. He couldn't really get out of the action. And then another counter rotation to catch out, I believe, moswal for 2 early picks. Off of those 2 picks in 1 minute, I thought Spacestation Gaming would win for sure.
All credit to Tully's professionalism here, so I'm trying to...
I see what you're trying to do. Not today, Satan.
Cerberus and Puch, the selections for Splyce. These two worked well in tandem. I loved the way Ryan really broke down the combination of Divios and Aror. I think he nailed it. And so Splyce, understanding that, obviously, first and foremost, bringing that to the table. And we talked about andinster at length, both in the game, before the game, and after the game. Last time around, he played the Odin, and he did it well despite the loss. But now, back to something a little bit more traditional for Andy. The New Jerseyite will be playing Daji, the aggressive assassin in the jungle.
More mobility, more escapability, trying to get in and out of the action. Odin, once he's committed, he's committed. And the Phantom, not necessarily a threat any longer. Splyce doesn't have to worry about picking that up.
Well, second round bans coming out, and of course we see no more Naja for Cyno. I mean, this has been kind of when he burst on the scene, you don't let him play the Naja. Things have changed. Just kidding. You still don't let Cyno play the Naja. Yep. No Turtle Man, no the Morrigan. Venenu has been a standout player on that. And Aquarius, as we sort of mentioned earlier, is certainly the Odin with the most in, so I want to ban him out. Janus, the mid laner of choice here for SSG. And Splyce will answer with our jungle Ratatoskr. And they're looking for a solo lane here. Chulainn the last time around. Aphrodite. Ooh. In game number 2.
Spicy Aphrodite pick, honestly, because Spacestation have the last pick for Aqua, which means he can play very aggressive with whatever he wants. Changa would be not a bad idea, considering that he can go for anti-healing, but with a warrior selection and knowing andinster is going to be aggressive on the dodge, you could lean on the Afro in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it's up to Divios to just kind of be silent in the early game. Might even see an item like a Warlock staff, just the mentality that he's looking to extend the laning phase, not really make those early rotations.
We could even see Afro mid for moswal and have Puch in the solo lane. That would be a little safer, I think, for Divios. But I'm honestly, not sure how much he's played it.
I would love to see the Afro mid. I think Afro mid is a wonderful option. Definitely has a lot more in store than I think some people would expect. Splyce, they're on match point. Should they win, they have guaranteed themselves a bye directly into HRX, and they will not pass go. SSG trying to stretch us to a game 3. Finch, Ryan, bring us game number 2.
Thanks, Tom and Totally. Splyce in such a long match there in game 1. Eventually they were able to get it done over Spacestation Gaming. Now game 2 with a trip past the placement stage is on the line. Splyce are trusting Divios on this Aphrodite over in the solo lane.
It's an interesting pick. When you see that they ban the Odin early, then at least in the second ban phase, then they pick it up. And they have the Cerberus on their side. Those are the 2 premier anti-heal gods. I think Aquarius likely was considering something like the Osiris. And I think Osiris would have been pretty good here. That Judgment Tether really does inconvenience moswal in a big way. That not only would he be doing reduced damage to Osiris, but to everyone around him. That means that Empty the Crypts is doing a lot less, and I think that would have been attractive alongside the 100% anti-heal provided by Lord of the Afterlife. But Aquarius did so well in the last game not really worrying about the laning phase whatsoever, and more just like, I'm going to really dominate this team fights, and I think Aqua did a great job of that. He played so well in that last game.
He
Obviously,
and Andy both.
Yeah, they both did. Didn't end up paying off, but they don't get the win, but they still play really well. I think Aqua is just trying to double down on that, but I do wonder if the Osiris was a better pick here.
That's a good point. I'm sure they care not for the consolation prize of having impressed us very much on that one, so they'd rather
I would
win.
dare say they don't care about anything less than that.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, and I don't blame them either. But I mean, it's hard, isn't it, to get people to go up against Jeff and BaRRa? You saw the votes there. Even still, after the game one, I think it was, what, 61 still in favor of Space Station, 39 the other way. It was down a bit from what we saw in game one, but Splyce won over very few people.
Crazy, man.
It's tough.
The BaRRa and Jeff fan base is difficult to sway, but I'll tell you what, I think that Splyce is the real deal. I really do. This team has done it over long enough that I think they're real.
Andinster was looking for a gank attempt, but JeffHindla went for the walls more towards Cyclone instead of Aror. I wonder if Aror had the leap still, and maybe he was worried he wouldn't have locked him down. But either way, Andinster goes for the back on the back end of that, finds nothing there. And instead, we'll go look elsewhere for a victim, I assume, for this dodgy. Who's his target on this one? I was asking you a little bit about this earlier on. Is he just moswal?
Moswal. Yep, moswal was the problem in the last game.
That's true.
For Space Station, so let's get a pick that kills moswal very well. Force him into purification beads in this game, but you've got so much to get on top of moswal. Janus, I think, is one of my favorite picks against immobile mages, so I think it makes sense.
Aquarius in some trouble here in the solo lane. Divios and Cyno have a ton of pressure. First blood going the way of Splyce, and gets away from Unstable Vortex. Has to juke back in. The beads aren't enough, and Venenu finds the trade.
Not a lot of teams will be willing to just fight up against a transformed Chulainn in 3 minutes in,
Very
but
few.
I love that Splyce says, yeah, we can win this. We got this in the bag, because they do. Aqua just took a little bit too much damage. Everyone forgets about how that Aphrodite kiss, if she's linked to someone and then kisses an opposition, that makes you do % more damage to that target. And it's not just a little bit. I mean, right now it's only 4%, but in the later game, you get 20% extra damage on that target, which is absurdly long. And for 5 seconds, like, that is an absurd amount of time. So you do have to really respect that later on. 4%, not great right now, but I think it contributed in that regard, as well as the proc shred from the flurry of acorns.
It does not take a lot, right, in these early game margins to make a big difference, because they very often come down to such small margins anyway. So, you know, a little bit of extra help there, and then Divios Cyno find that first blood. Cyno does end up falling on the back end, but it looks like he's not too punished by it. He's still ahead XP-wise over Andinster by a little bit. Already has Through the Cosmos available if he wants to get aggressive. And Divios is right there with Aqua as well.
First blood will do that for you. It gets you a little bit more than what you give up. But without beads, Andinster was looking for the quick pull. Will chase out the beads away from moswal. Good use of 1,000 cuts as well to give himself that knock-up immunity and stay away from that Through the Cosmos.
Do you think with Cyno in the air, moswal might be okay not using beads there? Or does he absolutely have
No,
to?
he needs to, because he's low enough on mana that he can't. I don't think he could have gotten off a full rotation of 1, 3, 2, and 4 all at once and stayed safe throughout the duration. Maybe there's an argument for it, sure, but better safe than sorry. You do not want to fall behind on this opwash.
That's absolutely right, and you definitely don't want to give that kill over to this dodgy and make life any easier for her as moswal. Again, my man is no, it was Cyno last time, and now it's moswal.
That was moswal in pure Ultra Instinct mode. Yes. Like, just doesn't even slow down. Like, what was that? Oh, all right. No fear whatsoever from the man. I love it. Adjustment Bureau levels of understanding the micro positioning there. Obviously, some kidding going on. That's twice now. Venenu's been unfortunate. I was. Oh, I was not. Okay. I think moswal. You think moswal has the Ultra Instinct from Dragon Ball Z, whatever the new one is called, Super. Yes. Yeah, he has that. Yeah. Yes, I think so. Okay. He has a very arrogant look on his face too. It's infuriating, and he knows it is. That's what I think. Absolutely. Well, don't make moswal mad, dude. One time I saw him not get Thoth in a ranked game. I don't even know how this is gonna work because moswal doesn't stream. One time I saw him not get Thoth on LAN, and some rocks started rising up around his chair. You've told me before that would be the best thing that could happen if you're getting angry. Like, if you could do a non-consequence wish, you'd wish for that, right? Like, yeah, and it's a really good one. I've really given a lot of thought to things that I could get that I will never be able to get Like, if I ever come across a situation where I can choose a superpower, teleportation is the best superpower. And
Over flying, really?
Easily. Are you
Okay.
kidding me? You have to spend time to fly to Italy. I don't. I teleport.
Venenu
Look
makes
at
some
this.
trouble.
He teleports out.
Yeah, but then you have Samuel Jackson hunting you down. You don't want that.
No, we'll be friends.
Nah.
I'll be like, Sam, what do you want? What food do you want more than anything else in the world right now? Teleport you to your favorite diner. Let's have a meal.
Were you a criminal when you were a kid and he's still hunting you down? That might change things, I suppose. If you like robbed a bank one time.
No, I mean maybe, but no. For legal purposes, no.
Right, that's just safer.
Yeah,
If you could
let's
choose
go
not
with no on that one.
Well, let's see if Splyce can find a way to close this set out. They grabbed game one, but it was not easy by any means. They were losing for the majority of it. They got in the late game. They were able to keep the margins very close and eventually able to come away with a win. That's got to be hanging on the back of Space Station's minds, right? Is that they've had such trouble closing games out up against Splyce that they want to try and give themselves a bigger cushion early on.
It is, and that's what this Chulainn pick is about, the ability to get ahead early on and really snowball these team fights. Wukong is very good at inconveniencing you during team fights and being a tough factor to deal with.
Andinster's on the powwow. Aror will certainly get pulled
Great
back
pull.
in, but so will Cyno a little bit late on the beats after getting pulled, but he's A-okay with it, and where he's positioned, Unstable Vortex hits, but not enough for the kill, and it's actually Andinster who's in trouble. moswal with the Crips finds one more for Splyce.
Andy's Trickster Spirit got interrupted by
Something, I don't even know what it was, but that's what ends up causing him to take a spill. He had a great powwow to pull Cyno in, late beads from Cyno as you mentioned, but still able to chase down Andinster. Wonder if that through space and time angle is enough to get Andy out of there. Maybe the communication isn't there to run straight towards the Janus. That's often what you want to hear in comms is run to me. I've got portals for you.
Right.
Or if JeffHindla's on your team, take these ports. That's also big. So maybe that's what Venenu should have been looking for.
the through space and time was there to provide portals, yes, but
Also was focused on damage as well.
And that's a tough situation for Andinster because he does find two people with the powwow, but I wonder if they don't even mind getting pulled back in because he's so far on the back end of the fight, really towards Splyce's base, in all honesty, and no one else from Space Station's even really around. So yeah, he pulled them, but it's more for pull, really, than anything else that he's able to get on that.
Right, just doesn't get a whole lot of value from the rest of the team and doesn't have that damage quite yet to do all the burst on his own.
No, certainly not on the back end of that one. And can we actually go back and look? We can get a better look at how moswal was able to get that last kill. We might even see what interrupted Andinster, because I know you were trying to follow along with that one, but he's able to push right past the pull and try and chase him down.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Oh, it was a perfect paralyzing spit from Aror, who has played this Cerberus so well over the last few weeks. It's been a lot of RDO and a lot of Cerberus, and if you can land those paralyzing spits without previous setup, then you're going to be very successful.
Cyno goes in aggressively. A quick portal is there, and now Cyno with no dash might be in trouble. Andinster puts out good damage. The chains can land. Venenu finds the kill. I believe that was a through space and time to the back that took him out as moswal gets chunked by the unstable vortex. He
Great
falls
portal.
into a portal. Now he's dead. Double kill for Venenu on the Janus in this team fight, and they're not done yet. Cyclone's up into the air, but he's able to reposition right back down into damage.
Great fight from Space Station. BaRRaCCuDDa just
kind of ignores Cyno and Aror and all that nonsense. The pull onto Aror is enough to keep moswal and CycloneSpin on the hook, if you will, to try and keep them interested in that engagement, to make sure their support stays up and healthy. But all it really does is put them in harm's way when Aror was fairly safe in that spot. Venenu has a really good team fight. That through space and time was perfect to kill Cyno.
Right.
And then BaRRa just dedicating himself to killing moswal is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Aquarius able to get the knock up on the Cyno and Divios, but Divios keeps everybody healthy. However, Gold Fury did just go down in favor of Space Station, so it'd be nice to get something back as Cyno lands the dash, and they get a nice kill onto Aquarius.
just no one there to help out the solo laner when you are zoning or you're doing a Gold Fury and you're trying to proxy between Tier 1 and Tier 2, even as like a Chulainn, you usually won't be particularly successful, especially when Cyno's able to cross the map that quickly. Remember, he died very early in that fight, so his respawn was quick enough that he was able to get there and punish Aqua.
And I think that's kind of what hurt them the most, is that Splyce didn't have any information or vision at the start of that fight. And Cyno commits his dash just looking for poke, I believe, onto Venenu, who portals away immediately. And now Cyno is out of position without his dash, and the rest of the lockdown is relatively easy. I think even without through space and time, they probably get the rat as he channels the ultimate So I think if they have a little bit more knowledge, Cyno might not even go in.
You're right, and that is what Ward Vision and things like that give you. Is through space and time fired again by Venenu, trying to cut off Auror's escape path. Auror still has the leap and Stygian Torment, and he's being pretty patient with it. He's going to need it sooner rather than later. Never ends up using it. As Beads also used by CycloneSpin. Andinster with these Pal-Owls, man, has been really, really clean.
And I've liked what Venenu's done this game as well. The through space and time is what facilitated all of that. He had a great team fight last time as well. So far, you're right, Andinster and Venenu together, man. This jungle mid combination is what's scary. And I think that's where this new space station is obviously going to thrive from in particular, right? Is that jungle mid synergy. Once Andinster and Venenu are on the same page like that all the time, they'll be hard to beat.
Beads from Cyno to get out of the portal, but Divios has made his way over from the solo lane. That'll send JeffHindla packing. Sunbreaker comes down to try and zone everybody away, but Cyno's still surging.
He's trying to find the kill. He only needs to get close enough for back-off damage. BaRRaCCuDDa falls early on. Venenu, I believe, had to expend Beads as well, but he is way too far away for anyone to lock him down. They'll settle for the red buff strip. Cyno still looking for a little bit more. Gotta make sure he's careful as Aqua grabs the tower and right.
I like it by Divios. I mean, you're never getting pressure in that solo lane up against Chulainn, so don't be there. Go affect elsewhere on the map. Aqua's going to get that tower at some point anyways. Who cares if he gets it right now? We can win a fight over by red and try and defend that for ourselves. I really like the decision-making from Divios. I don't mind the decision-making from Aqua either to not follow in that spot because, like he said, you're going to get that tower. You need to get that farm. You need to stay ahead as Chulainn. If you're chasing this Aphrodite around and she's able to stay ahead of you, then you're not doing your job of getting big.
And up until now, I think you can have a lot of faith in the way that Space Station has played these team fights, even without you so far, right? I mean, yeah. Andinster and Venenu have looked excellent so far, so I think that might give Aqua a little bit more license to feel comfortable staying. That fight doesn't go their way, but again, they don't pay too heavy a price. He gets the Tier 1 tower to keep things as even as possible, and Space Station can definitely still feel good about where they're at.
I really thought a major reason for this dodgy selection is to, A, bully moswal, and B, provide great anti-heal options because you have such consistent dot damage on Dodgy. I mean, the best physical dot damage provider that Brawler's Beatstick is a natural pickup, but Andinster goes for a Crusher first, which does synergize really well with the Dodgy because her auto attack cancels are so good, and that adding into that dot damage is pretty solid as he's looking for more now. As Cyclone able to stay safe because of that Undying Love from Divios. Divios is here, and they're sending Cyno over to the right-hand side. This is potentially just a full lane swap right now from Splyce, at least for the time being, because Divios is level 14, can be here to affect these, and Cyno can rotate so well that it doesn't really bother him to be on the other side of the map.
That's got to be what it is. The banish lands onto Andinster. The damage is there to follow up from CycloneSpin, but he has to go up into the air. The Earthling Fury has hit everyone, and they're going to take a ton of damage in the back end as Aqua joins the fray. Cyno lands as well, but no knockup's going to come out. They're going to look for the fight on the back end.
Aqua pretty low as Sunbreaker again comes down defensively from BaRRaCCuDDa. Aurora still has Stygian Torment and could look for Aquarius, but he doesn't have Blink yet. He's only level 10.
Aurora and moswal both very patient with their ultimates in that fight, and I think for a good reason. There was not a perfect opportunity to instead hold on to them. Gold Fury will be back up in about 20 seconds as well, so relics and abilities are going to be very important if they want to siege it. But Cyno still looking for a little bit more action, but Space Station have plenty of members still here.
Sprint is down for JeffHindla, but BaRRaCCuDDa is the focus, at least for the moment. Now Andinster is caught in a bad spot. He's going to Trickster Spirit back towards JeffHindla as the stun lands. Stygian Torment looking for it, but Aurora can't quite get in there in time.
But have they forced them out enough? Gold Fury should now be back up on the map. There are beads and Aegises available for Venenu and BaRRaCCuDDa. They'll be very safe. No beads for CycloneSpin, who's still not level 12. We'll see if they can make this burn happen with Venenu and Aqua still very nearby. JeffHindla on the right-hand side has the walls. That's enough for them to leash the objective, and they'll repull.
Ben has been forced back, though, by Cyno, as he has no through space and time either. BaRRaCCuDDa, no Sunbreaker, so the big AoEs really aren't there.
Stygian Torment finally comes out from Aror. moswal drops his ultimate as well, and Splyce to confirm the Gold Fury. And they've got Andinster and Aquarius very low, but so is Aror, trying to find a position to reposition. Divios instead looks for Andinster on the right-hand side, can't find the doves. He has the kiss. Back off is enough, and Andinster goes down.
Aqua just tried to keep everybody else busy and did so, but still wasn't enough to save him. But Jeff combines with Venenu to crush down Splyce. Just when you thought Splyce was winning the team fight, Ven goes
Y'all mind if I come in and crush everybody down? Earth and Fury and Through Space and Time doing some really good work.
Yeah, absolutely get removed. A huge fight from Space Station on the back end. And an answer they absolutely needed, as Splyce were in all that madness able to confirm the Gold Fury. So now Space Station have a bit of an opportunity where 3 members of Splyce are down. But at this point, they've all had to back. They're relatively low. This has brought the game back to even gold-wise, though experience still favors the Chaos side.
That is huge, though, for Space Station. I think just for momentum's sake, you really don't want to lose a long game like you did in Game 1 and then have to withstand Splyce picking Aphrodite, and now you've got to deal with that, and they're starting to win in the early game where they really shouldn't be because they have an Aphrodite, and their late-game team fight is really, really good, and you know, Aqua doesn't have the same sort of lead that he did in the last game. And
they're really letting Cyno do this lane. I love it.
Yeah, I do too. And especially knowing that the Divios, you really do only need a couple items on Aphro to start to be effective. And he's going to get Genjis, I'd imagine. Could be Onis, but I think the CDR and the mana regen coming from the Genji's guard is going to be a little bit too appetizing here for Divios to pass up.
Pyro Mansion now being looked at, though, Ryan, by Space Station Gaming. Divios and Cyno are in right, but I don't think they recognize this is happening. So Pyro should be secured by Space Station without any trouble. And Splyce will get there a little bit too late. That's not, you know, backbreaking by any means, but you don't like giving up free objectives.
100 gold a player, not what you want to gift away, but it's not too bad in that spot. So Space Station regains a very, very slight lead so far. No cursed. Oh, there is a cursed onk. I was going to say, I was expecting JeffHindla to pick it up, and indeed he has upgraded as well.
CycloneSpin's up in the air. He's a bit low. Comes right back down into a wall. JeffHindla is an absolute nutcase. Earth and Fury comes out as well, and andinster will find the Hunter. Aror has got to run for his life. Has the Mad Guy's cloak already in case there's CC. But Space Station, the happy owners of a nice pick.
Really, shutting down CycloneSpin has been a priority thus far for Space Station in both games. They did it very successfully in Game 1, and during Splyce's recent run of great success, Cyclone's been a big part of it. So I don't disagree with Space Station's apparent assessment that that is the one they really want to focus out.
He had, I think, a good Freya game the last time we saw Splyce play, but for the most part, it's been on the back of these Izanamis and Xibalankes as well. So this transition from CycloneSpin is certainly welcome, but it's been a little bit rough, at least today. And I think, as you said, not to any fault of his own, just that Space Station have made it a point. And so far, they've done very well. He's in the same spot he was last game. 3rd from the bottom of the player damage, right above those supports. We'll see if he can get a little bit more.
Sitting at level 12, he's already 3 levels down, man. It's not a good start here for Cyclone in this game, but he does have Aegis now, so could be worse. Now you got a little bit more protection.
Sure.
Even with Valkyrie's Discretion being down, it's just that he's going to need to be on the target with his ultimate timings and his beads timings, because if andinster's able to get a quick pull off onto that Freya, even with Valkyrie's Discretion, it might be difficult to reposition enough to survive afterwards.
It's the same damage spread as well as it's Game 1, isn't it? It's just Cyno that they're relying on for that physical damage one more time, and even less, I would think, from the Ratatoskr than from the Naja potential, I would say, for damage. So we'll see if Space Station want to go as bunkered down in terms of defense as they did last time. They've got Heartward, they've got Pestilence, and the Oni, so they've got quite a bit. One more coming out as well, so they're bulking up one more time.
You're right. I mean, it is interesting that Space Station, after committing to that so heavily in the last game, aren't really doing the same here in Game 2. But their fight is a little bit more flash in the pan than their team fight was last game. I mean, with Odin, you got to stick around, the cage is down, you got to brawl it out in the jungle there. Ideally here for Space Station, Andy blink pulls somebody, and then Venenu just runs him over with a train with Through Space and Time, and so the fight is over before you need to take any significant damage. So a bit of a difference here.
Might not need to be quite as sturdy, as Gold Fury should be back up another 10 seconds or so, and Space Station are at least nearby or around, so they can try and be the ones to burn down really quickly. The Tier 1 tower goes down in left as well. Space Station, very similar to Game 1, right? A small lead around this 20-minute mark. They've been executing their game plan very well so far, but it certainly hasn't pushed Splyce out of the picture. And this one might even be a little bit worse, because now it's an Aphrodite they're building towards late game, which is very difficult to stop.
And Space Station doesn't have a lot of great options for anti-heal. Aror blinks in and forces Venenu to portal away. Got some good poke off and took some in return, but you mentioned it, they've got the Aphrodite, so it's not as much of a concern.
Wow, Cyno goes up into the air. Is he going to be the initiator for this? Venenu has already used the portal, and that should have forced out his beads in the back end if he landed. Cyno repositions. moswal drops the ultimate, but moswal's too low. andinster finds the first kill. Cyno has the chains on him. Wants to look for the spin, but it's one more kill. Venenu found one as andinster gets the double. Space Station walk all over Splyce.
And now it's only Divios and Cyclone left on the map. Ven still had the beads and uses them pretty aggressively because they really want to try and punish out this Aphrodite and the Freya, but can't quite get it done. And look at this. Instead of Gold Fury, Space Station didn't get gold, and instead are heading straight towards Fire Giant. And I wonder if Splyce didn't notice that there was no Gold Fury noise that went off and might try and get here to potentially defend.
It's really only Divios that can make it here in time, and he might be too late. Fire Giant, very, very low already. They slow down the DPS a bit and send andinster, Aqua, and Venenu on the defense. Divios might lose his life and the FG. He is going to make it back towards CycloneSpin, who has good peel, but Space Station grabbed the objective. A huge swing for Space Station to be able to get 3 kills, I believe, on the Gold Fury and now the Fire Giant.
And I love that call from SSG. I mean, you probably give up gold, though maybe Aquarius can get here and defend. Doesn't have his ultimate, so this is a bit risky for him, even though Space Station knows this is happening with the Oracles. Aqua is going to back, so they don't try and lose anything. They give up Gold Fury. You're going to get way more gold from all these towers than you ever would have from just one lone gold.
Absolutely. A big fight from Splyce. Did Cyno knock up anyone with his ultimate in that last fight? He was looking for Venenu, I believe, on that portal, but as you said, he still had beads towards the tail end of the fight, so they end up not getting it. And that was Splyce initiating the fight with Cyno, and I don't think they've started a fight like that all game.
I think that Cyno, I think Venenu might have used his through space and time to give himself CC immunity.
Perhaps, yeah.
Or Cyno just didn't reach him right away. But the idea, so what I was saying towards the end of game 1 is that Aror and Divios are so good at spacing their blinks in, but you don't get that with Aphrodite, so you have to change your whole game plan basically. And instead of waiting for you, this time Space Station just runs at Splyce. They just run at you with this Chulainn and with this Terra. You drop the Earth and Fury, you use the Cursed Ankh, and you go, we are fighting right here, and no matter if you run away or not, we should be able to chase you with use of dodgy movement and the blinks and the through space and times and the portals as a whole. You're not going to be able to get away from that very easily. So Splyce has to change their identity with the way they've drafted this game in the Divios, Aphrodite, but also Space Station is not letting the enemy team be the initiator.
BaRRaCCuDDa finds Divios, though, on the left-hand side. A huge loss for Splyce to have lost their sustain this early on. 24 minutes in, Space Station now in the sieging stage of the game. Can start looking for tier 2 towers. They're not grouped up yet, so they're not that interested in trying to force it down right this minute. They don't have a minion wave in left either. They're trying to keep the focus of Splyce split a bit.
Looking for multiple towers all at once here, potentially, as Aquarius will force down the mid tier 2.
Give me that.
At least get ready. I don't think a Phoenix is really on the table here for Space Station, though Cyno is in right, and Space Station knows that he's clearing a minion wave, so they'll give this one shot. But Cyno can easily back and just use through the Cosmos to get here. This is the better idea. Just head towards mid, get your guaranteed gold.
They're going to go grab the tier 2. There's still one over in solo as well if they want it. And I think Cyno recognized that. They didn't all in on the Phoenix. He's going to stick around in right. And they're going to lose this tier 2 in mid anyway, so he has a chance to get some good damage in on this tower.
Teleport should be there from Aquarius, and indeed it is. So there goes that idea from Cyno. At least you get a relic out of Space Station solo laner, so worth your time. Plus he got a lot of farm. Hits him to level 20. So he's going... The problem with Ratatoskr in comparison with Naja as the only physical on your team is that Rat really cannot commit to full damage because you just don't... Even with full damage, you don't really do enough in the late game to not have you get... You know, your ult gets beads, then you get killed so quickly that you need to go semi-bruiser. But on Naja, you can find the right ultimate, find the right angle, you can buy yourself so much time. Cyno just won't be able to provide that same amount. Now, right now, we stop at the player damage charts. But if this game goes 50-plus minutes again, that will not be the case.
No, probably not, as Cyno is top of the damage charts, but not doing a ton, I would say, right? Very, very close to where everyone else from the Space Station is as well. But we'll certainly see as Space Station are looking to push down the right side tower, and Splyce are looking for the defense. This last one they don't want to give up for free. It's the tail end of the Fire Giant buff. It might fall off Space Station in the middle, and that's enough for Space Station to give up on it for now. Head back towards Pyromancer and Splyce, keep their Tier 2 tower standing.
Yeah, that good call, though, by Splyce to not give up that last Tier 2, because you can win a fight down 6k gold and 7k gold as Aphrodite. It's certainly possible.
Janus are able to blink in onto the backside using the portal from Venenu. Is still looking for Aror. He doesn't get a ton out of that as Aror just kind of jumps away. Space Station Gaming without the Fire Giant might want to try and force down this Tier 2 this time in a heads-up fight. They've got enough space. BaRRaCCuDDa shredding the objective. Earth and Fury comes out as well, so no chance they won't be getting it.
Cyno knocks up Aqua, and Aqua's taking a lot of damage.
Whoa.
He's dead instantly. Big pull from Andy, immune by a set of purification beads or two. Good unstable vortex. Bear's got to use his own beads.
Whoa, Divios is healing for nothing.
I mean, there's tons of anti-heal on him right now, both Brawlers and Divine Ruin. This tower should go down. Divios nearly died to that triple ricochet, but it's still up.
Instead, it's andinster going in, trying to find some more aggression. This Tier 2 tower hanging on by a thread. CycloneSpin very far forward. Valkyrie's discretion for more damage. Somehow Splyce recognized that they had an opportunity to win that fight, and they absolutely grab Aqua.
They might be able to go fire here.
Yeah.
They've got Aphrodite heals, dude. They get you to do stuff like that pretty often. Bear is here, but no beads. JeffHindla has to back, so it's only on Bear, and he doesn't have an ultimate.
They've got a chance to start this Fire Giant. It's being burned relatively quickly, but not faster than BaRRaCCuDDa can try and at least get in a ricochet. Everyone here is on the back end, though. Now they're going to go send Cyno in to try and defend. They've got moswal for the confirm on the side of Splyce. JeffHindla makes his way in towards the FG. Splyce confirmed the objective, but now can they make it back out?
Venenu's trying to get a good angle as Aror gets chased down. He just pulled andinster away from the rest of the fight. This is where moswal wants you in this tiny little corridor. Bear, no relics!
They go back in for the knockup. BaRRaCCuDDa's low, but just barely lives. Divios with a tick from the birds finds the kill. JeffHindla now has to start running for the hills as well as Splyce somehow on that Tier 2 tower defense find kills and the objective.
You just don't chase Aphrodites. You don't chase them because that always happens. You never kill them in that spot.
Man.
Venenu, if Venenu doesn't have ultimate, you are never killing Splyce in that spot. And Ven doesn't have ultimate, so don't chase it. It's just Space Station feel like they get a little bit caught up in the moment. They don't get that Tier 2 on the right-hand side, and that frustrates them. And Splyce just playing their composition so well.
This is a nice gift, though, that Cyno has given over to Space Station Gaming, his life, as he gets caught out by andinster in the middle lane with no real information about who was around, so that's unfortunate spill. They do grab the Tier 2 tower over in right at the very least.
This is still not looking good, though, for Space Station. I mean, to go up against a Fire Giant for an Aphrodite and a Freya and an Opwash in the late game, this time you don't have nearly as much magical defense as you did last time around, so you still have the Heart Word. Aquarius needs to figure out how he got shredded so quickly underneath that Phoenix, or underneath that Tier 2 on right. I think it was just the ability to of Divios. I think he kissed him, and that extra damage onto whoever he was linked to might have been enough. I mean, adding 20% extra damage from Empty the Crypts is an awful lot.
Aror's got to be careful. He's taking some poke from andinster, but remember they have the Aphrodite, so he heals it up. Gold Fury is quite low already, below a quarter HP. Through space and time, dissects the fight, but finds no damage. But it does set up some avenues as andinster's on the back end of the fight. Aquarius finds a nice knock-up for the rest of the team to follow up with. Andinster wants moswal, but moswal wants the turnaround. He blows him up, but his life falls in trade.
Man, even with all this anti-heal, it almost saved moswal's life. Jeff is still playing healthy. Cyno's on the wrong target here, but Aurora's finding the better ones. Ven brought back, and Cyclone brings him down.
Gets the shutdown, and BaRRaCCuDDa has to dive bomb away. CycloneSpin is chasing Aqua on the left-hand side, while Cyno wants BaRRaCCuDDa. He lands the stun. Aurora's there, but no more abilities. The ricochet is a nice idea, but in execution does not work. Cyno takes down the Hunter. 4v2. Somehow, someway, Splyce have turned this around. They should be able to shred Aquarius here as well. Splyce, what a fight over these last 2 or 3 minutes, man.
They haven't lost one, and this is the Aphrodite effect. I mean, you lose this fight, you lose that fight, sure. Oh, we're what, 20 minutes in? Okay, we win every fight from here on out because you just can't kill the target that I have linked. And it's priority targets as well. It's moswal. Sure, they kill him, but it takes them way too long. And it costs andinster his life. That means he never gets the ultimate off because he had used it earlier on. I mean, the damage is there from Space Station. It's just that you can't punch through that healing very well.
They don't have any minions here, and as good as Freya is, she's not shredding this Phoenix particularly fast. Andinster's up on the Palau, has the change on the Divios, but Undying Love is pretty darn good. Gets him away. Left side Phoenix does come down, but Cyno's very low. He makes it just barely up onto the tree, and Splyce should be able to disengage.
It's a lot of pressure to put on Ven, to the point where it's unfair, because you don't play Janus to win the game off of through space and time. You just don't. It happens, and it's definitely a possibility. But if that's your only win condition, then you probably went wrong somewhere in the draft. But against Aphrodite, because it was last picked here for Splyce, basically, Spacestation had already committed so heavily to their composition that there's just, you basically are looking for Ven to one-shot someone. And that is not a consistent way to win. If you're going to do that, you need excellent ward coverage to give Venenu as much information as possible. And you need your frontliners, specifically Aquarius, to do a very good job of corralling and keeping everyone attentive on that character so that you can try and use him as a magnet for your through space and time. But that's really what it feels like to me, because I just don't know that Spacestation has the burst without Ven hitting a long-range snipe to kill someone that Divios is linked to.
And we talked about Cyno's damage, but it's certainly still there for now. Look, he's done, I think, 7,000 since we had that discussion. He was at 10,000 before.
Yep.
So he's certainly maintaining relevance in these team fights as well. And, I mean, what more can we ask Spacestation to do in terms of anti-healing? They have so much. They got the Brawlers, the Pestilence, Divine Ruin, and the Brawlers on BaRRaCCuDDa as well. They've got a lot of it there. How well does a Janus apply Divine Ruin, though?
Not well at all.
Right, so that's kind of the bummer. There's no good one he can really pick up.
There isn't, and that's why the Aphrodite pick works so well here,
yeah.
because it is so inconsistent to apply that anti-heal.
JeffHindla is going to be the front line. Andinster goes right up onto the Palau. Through space and time comes through and must have hit Cyclone. Look how low he is on the backside of the fight. BaRRaCCuDDa is the target from Cyno, though, in the front line. Aror is already low as well. Andinster tracks him down. moswal gets caught out by Aquarius as well. Spacestation Gaming, a fight in the jungle, showing up.
And that's how it's got to go. Every fight, because even though you don't kill Cyclone, you make Divios stay linked. You keep him preoccupied, and then you take everyone else out. That is perfect execution. You were asking what Spacestation Gaming does as Aphrodite. You hit someone. If it doesn't kill them, you force Divios to stay linked, and then you kill everybody else while they don't have that Aphro support.
That's so much damage. CycloneSpin was removed from the fight, not by way of death, but he was no longer relevant. Now Spacestation, with a 5v3 advantage, and still relatively comfortable in terms of how much they have available, can pull this Fire Giant. It's down to about half HP. Cyno and Divios are nearby, but they don't have the best steal potential.
Cyno's got the mark on him, but he's still got both his relics. Aegis
will be the first one used, and Andinster doesn't have the ultimate, so it doesn't have to really be concerned too much about the beads, but here comes through space and time, just nearly clips, or misses rather, onto Cyno, but Divios now with no link is a little bit vulnerable.
Man, this banish is pretty nuts though, isn't it? A great find from CycloneSpin, I think, is the only reason that Splyce have these three members, but Cyno goes up into the air. He can't be thinking about going back in. He looks for Venenu, gets both relics. That is a nice win for Cyno to have found.
Ven using both relics there is a bit of a panic in my mind. I mean, just beads probably gets him away. There's no way Cyno's able to have people in tow that can follow up in time. If you just use the beads, he can't CC you.
Well, now it's going to be so much harder for Venenu to come in and try and contest the Fire Giant. Splyce essentially have everybody back for this pull. JeffHindla, BaRRaCCuDDa, and Aquarius all nearby. Aror trying to keep BaRRaCCuDDa out, but he drops down the Suns for the consistent damage. Earth and Fury comes out as well. Splyce somehow in all the madness confirmed the FG, but Andinster finds moswal on the back end. Cyno very low, but he's got Divios there healing, but they nearly turn around onto Aquarius.
Aqua still up, but CycloneSpin is not. He falls for Andinster. Oh! Shotguns Divios, and Aurora is going to be next. It's a triple kill for Andinster.
This might be
right on time. Splyce lose 4 members, and Splyce does so well around that objective. Their patience on BaRRaCCuDDa's ultimate is flawless. They let it run out, and then they secure it afterwards. But because they're forced to let it run out, that keeps Splyce on the line and keeps them committed to that fight so long that it means the rest of Spacestation got there in time.
Cyno is just barely able to make it up onto the tree in time to get back to the fountain and start healing. But what can one lone rat do up against 5 members from Space Station Gaming? And I think they've recognized that they have a chance to try and grab this game. Cyno wants Venenu on the back end, but he portals through for more Titan damage. They have it down to half HP already. 3 more seconds on moswal. Titan takes down JeffHindla, but moswal not going to make it in time. Splyce fall, and Space Station take game 2 on our way to game 3.
It's only fitting, right? I mean, this is do or die for these teams. Of course, number one, is Splyce involved. It's going to be a game 3.
Right.
That's historically true. But these two teams so close together, and I love that it's going to game 3, man. It's poetic justice.
And this time the game was able to end much shorter. And I don't know if it's because Space Station did too much different in this one. It was a small overstep from Splyce on that Fire Giant that really turned it around. Because it was starting to mirror game 1 perfectly, where it was Space Station in the beginning, Splyce crawl their way back in the way they always do, and look to be in control.
Look, BaRRaCCuDDa's ultimate basically wins the game there for Space Station, because he bought so much time around that Fire Giant that allows andinster and Venenu to do what they needed to do in that team fight. Andy played great on this dodgy. He has really, really impressed me in this set. Even if Space Station does end up dropping down to placements, if andinster continues to play like that, Space Station's going to be just fine.
Let us know who you think that MVP was from that last game out there in the Mixer chat. It's tough to try and decide off a very strong performance we're able to see from Splyce, but what more can you ask for? We're heading into a game 3. Let's get the thought from the analysts over on the desk.
Thanks a lot, boyos, Tom and Tolly, to break this one down. Game 2, as the commentator said, much shorter this time around, but certainly not devoid of any of the action. What a final fight. I mean, damn, just a shotgun blast, see you later. That's how you close a game.
Venenu hitting his shots where it truly mattered. In that last one, clipping out CycloneSpin, preoccupying Divios, forced to heal back his Hunter to full health. And then even like in the mid portion of the game where Venenu uses his through space and time, hits 2 people, follows up for a double kill, being able to get 3 kills, and then the Gold Fury. Space Station still on top in terms of the objective control.
Realistically, when it comes down to it, I definitely have to agree with Ryan. You know, Ryan had mentioned when Andy's playing like this, Space Station do just find success. This is a team that has been kind of inconsistent, and I think some of that inconsistency has kind of hailed from the jungle. So Andy stepping up, certainly a nice look for Space Station, but somebody that has been relatively consistent since the acquisition. Venenu in the middle lane. That's your most valuable player here for game number 2. This guy won the last team fight, which won the game.
That's right, and he was just hitting the shots that truly mattered. The Janus pick is long forgotten so many times. The global pressure, the repositioning specifically is what allows him. This is the team fight that I was talking about. He hits 2 players, gets the shotgun kill there, making the team fight so much easier for Space Station to just go in and out of the action. Impressive stuff from him, whether it was the Janus in game 2 or even the Vulcan in game 1 that out-damaged moswal's outwash.
As I said, I mean, just the consistency in the mid lane has been a pleasure to watch. I think Venenu has been an important acquisition for this team. Sure. Understanding that they're coming from a world where they had Baskin, arguably one of the best players in the world, right? Yes. So not only have they sort of recovered from the loss of that player, if you want to walk down that pathway, but I think that they've also kind of elevated themselves to a spot where they look like a pretty strong team in their own right.